Okay, let me get some light on the situation. So, as people must be aware, Drumpf signed an executive order that there's a foreign invasion and that the military needs to repel the foreign invaders attacking the federal government. So basically, it's a civil war, but if people are declared illegals, then the question is, what is a legal person? And people don't, if you think legal person, you think, oh, that's just a normal citizen. But no, a legal person is actually a corporation, and a normal person is a natural person. So this whole attack against illegal people is actually in support of legal people or corporate fascist rule as fascism. That's what people don't notice is anytime there's an attack against illegal people, it's actually an attack by corporations as legal people. Now that I've made that point, I want to read an excerpt from this really excellent book, Way of the Bushman as told by the tribal elders, spiritual teachings and practice of the Kalahari Huan Si. Can't say obviously their clicking language, but he even gives the different sounds of the language. This is by Brad Keeney and Hillary Keeney, his wife. And essentially, Brad Keeney started going to the Kalahari in 1991 when he was a professor at University of St. Thomas, and which is where I also took the Qigong classes. And he actually wrote a promotional for Patrick Doherty's Qigong book, because Keeney was a psychology professor, and so he's the only outsider considered a owner of Numb Healer. He has this book has the best details on the San Bushman healing culture. He has like, I don't know, 5 books on San Bushman healing, but this book really goes into like really nitty-gritty details. And this is a tradition that's over 200,000 years old. It's like 225,000 years old. So it's pretty important stuff. And what was the quote? Okay. So here's what I wanted to focus on was this, the part about music that he talks about. Let's see. These objects are therefore both names of God's songs and description of the means used to deliver God's love. The num song. God puts love into a song and squeezes or compacts it into a sharp object. So that phrase there is describing what I have in my Ancient Advanced Acoustic Alchemy book is like the infinite spiral of fifths, where the music, okay, God puts love into a song and squeezes or compacts it into a sharp object so it can be shot into our heart. God only communicates through music because God gives us the kind of love that requires music to express it, delivered through an imagined sharp object capable of emotionally piercing our heart. After we are hit with this love-bearing delivery, we are awakened to spontaneously sing its song because we are feeling God's love in an unfettered way. So he says, see his commentary on 6:4. each chapter, the chapters are the elders talking, and then he gives a little commentary, or he and Hillary Keeney. A song carrying called a song is transferred to a person by a so-called arrow or nail. It is not enough to hear the song must be held and delivered by a sharp object that pierces the heart. Then the nail, song, and itself awaken. These three names are all different ways of discussing each underscoring a different aspect of Nails and arrows refer to the transference from one person to another, or animal, plant, ancestor, or gods to humans. Songs indicate the spontaneous expression brought forth by heated and refers to that which is delivered, and the song it inspires. So, it's pretty detailed, obviously. So that's chapter 6 on transmitting num. And then the chapter 4 is the stations of num. And he starts out. Well, this is the third eye. It's actually, another psychologist, Theodore Reich, he calls it the third ear, which is pretty cool. But okay, so let's see, this chapter, the stations of num. So this goes into the real details of like the training. And basically it's the same thing as nirva kalpa samadhi, because he says as we continue waking up, we start shaking. Our vision becomes blurry. The world may appear to be whirling. At this time, we can float above the dance, and we feel like we are looking down on it. Let's see, though we don't clearly see this first experiential station of Ngum, the place of power, we feel empowered and think that nothing can hurt us. So that's essentially what nirvikalpa samadhi is in yoga. But he's describing it as through the dancing experience. So it's more like like a really deep level of tai chi in yeah. Tree of knowledge of good and evil is the literal. And anyway, he goes into way more details, so I'm not gonna you'll have to get the book if you want the details. But he's in the beginning, he lists the names of the healers. Like, here's the names of the elders that he interviews. And he talks about the different communities. He says that the Kalahari, the Bushmen in that historically occupied central Kalahari, have been at critical risk due to government action that threatens their way of living. That's where they like literally shot them from helicopters, hunted them down. And the southern Bushmen in the Cape of South Africa are essentially extinct. And so he goes to the Bushmen in northeastern part of Namibia. So this is the same community that Andrew Zimmern visited on the Bizarre Food cooking show. Well, you'll have to read the book for the details. And okay, so he's saying that if somebody's a really powerful healer, then if they touch somebody, that person will basically pass out and go into a coma, which like their brain will shut down. And so he's basically saying that the really powerful healers in the Bushman culture are really rare. That's everybody trains to feel the energy, but the ones that really master it are super rare. There's only like a few of them. Yeah, it's you'd have to get like initiated with the what they call arrows of but the I'm just comparing it to the qigong master experience. And he talks about how a Chinese medical healer went to the San Bushman, and then when he received a nail or an arrow of the I keep spinning when I say that word. He passed out. He like literally just passed out. And so, but actually, Qigong Master Chen Lin, he told that story how the first healing he did in China, the woman passed out, and then he had to bring her to, and then she was like, "Wow, that was really powerful," and he was scared when it happened because he's like, "Oh my gosh, did I hurt her?" You know. Um, so yeah, it's this is a fascinating book because you can compare it to like the really rare energy healers. And there's an earlier book by Keeney where he travels around the whole world. Yeah, he talks about the softening of the heart, how the heart has to soften to receive the energy. And so what happens is all these anthropologists they go to study the San Bushmen, and the San Bushmen don't reveal the num to the anthropologists because their heart is not soft enough. But when Brad Keeney, he had had this Kundalini awakening from his church upbringing because his grandfather was a minister in the South, and and also his music training. And when he combined that music and church upbringing, then he had this like really big Kundalini third eye awakening that was spontaneous one day when he was in church, and that's why he began to study shamanism because after that he could still always like awaken the kundalini or whatever you want to call it, the num. And he says it's like you feel this intense boiling heat, and so they start dancing to awaken it, and then it's like an electrical energy. um so it's connected to the earth too. He's saying as the energy gets stronger they stomp the earth together as dancers, and that stomping is part of the like grounding of the energy and building up the energy. And um so yeah, there's a lot of fascinating details, but it's kind of wild that humans have lost touch with our original like psychophysiology or what it means to be really human and to feel this like love healing energy. But it's also dangerous. The energy is dangerous. And he's saying that at first, when people experience this, the Psalm Bushmen, they get scared. He said at first there's a lot of fear. Well, that's why you have to have celibacy, because the celibacy is what myelinate the nerves. Because the for men, the life force energy is mainly lecithin, and lecithin is what myelinates the nerves to store up the charge. Yeah, I have an article on that called "The Secret Science of Spiritual Healing" that goes into details. Secret, right here. There you go. You can just read that. That'll give you more details. It goes into part two also. This part here. Anyway, so well, actually, the advanced healers, the men, they suck their organ back inside their body because there's that really strong vagus nerve reaction. You can see that I have a playlist on energy healing. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it. Sort by last video added. Yeah, it's my old. It's my should be like my oldest playlist, I think. I could post it in the comments because I can't. It's gonna take me a while to find it. I got like probably like 200 playlists. I'm just guessing, but for do, 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 do. The other thing he says is that we are basically experiencing a devolution. He says instead of an evolution like in the New Age scene, we're actually devolving because this healing tradition is basically like dying off. So it's nice to actually have some. Here we go. Yeah, I got 942 videos in this playlist. Here you go. That playlist is all the energy demonstrations, and there's like 942 videos. I'll show you the one where they he sucks his genitals back inside his body. See if I can find it. I have the Sam Bushman interviews in this playlist also. And there's also like pyrokinesis. Here it is, right here. Okay, I'm gonna load just. I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the comments.